Okay, welcome to part 2 of the first video of part 1. I noticed when I uploaded the first video, the phone was like, I thought it would show me in a way where it's like this, like in a horizontal way, but it actually showed me vertical, but um hopefully that doesn't bother you guys too much. If it does, then I'll try to record a certain way, whether vertical or horizontal, much as possible. But I'm I'm really tired, so I just want to lay down. But I really want to get this out. I'll probably post it either the same day or the next day. I don't know. But I wanted to continue to talk about what I said in the beginning, but I didn't get to tap into it as much. And it was about the light. How I see it is, based on from my experience, when I've learned to meditate or when I just learned to breathe and be open to seeing beyond the noise, seeing beyond my pain, my trauma. I began to open up a pathway for myself, a hidden pathway that's very, very difficult and hard to see, hard to reach, hard to even follow. And I'm not saying this because it's impossible or to devastate anyone who's never been on a spiritual journey or who's barely trying to, or just starting well or just starting to try to get out of their own box, get out of their own world, and search for something more meaningful, something more soulful. But it is very difficult because, first off, when you try to meditate, you try to you try to slow everything down, and especially if you have a mind like mine, where it's just from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, it's just like do 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 do. It's just like a machine gun, just shooting out random thoughts, shooting out things that you have to do, just all day, every single fucking day. Gets so annoying and exhausting at times. What was I saying? But when you have that mind, or even like, let's say you have a mind that is just full of logic, that's full of well, how can that happen when it's supposed to happen XYZ? Breaking out of the confines of your mind is very difficult. Breaking out of what you're used to. And I would say that's like the part of meditating, the part of, really having an open mind, slowing things down, is you begin to open up. I don't know, for me, this is how I vision it, how I imagine it, but it's like opening up a doorway that's like, it's dark in there, but there's little balls of light that you see. That's very intriguing, it's tempting, but it's the unknown, and it's like, well, what's gonna happen if I go in there? What's gonna happen, if I venture into this more, if I tap into this more? Or even will anything even come out of this? You know what I mean? So many questions. But as you begin to meditate more and more, like I said, in the first video, even if it's just a few seconds every day, within the chaos, within the noise in your head, within the things you have to do, the things you're worrying about, well, I'm like so tired, I'm stuttering. And at the same time, you try to keep an open mind. You see these little lights, and these little lights is like little steps, little pathway, like little. Imagine like those rocks on a river or on a stream, and it creates a little pathway for you to step on, so you can get to the other side. It's like that, but instead, underneath these balls of light that act like steps, at least for myself, I imagine it's like dark waters. Like all you see is just blackness, darkness, and the light is reflecting the dark waters, that the little ripples of water that you see around the rock, the rock that's like filled with light or something. And I guess in my imagination I use water, dark waters, because I have an immense fear of, water. Especially like if I can't see it. If it's dark, I can't see it. I get really scared thinking like, oh my god, what's under there? Please don't drag me under. Yeah, I don't want to think about it. So, it's like you'll find these little lights, these moments of the universe, spirit, God, your higher self, whatever guiding you, to make the next decision. Hold on, don't go outside just yet. Just wait a few seconds because there's something going on outside that could ruin your day or could put you in harm's way, or even like the right thing to say at the right time. Or you happen to meet someone who needed words of encouragement, or maybe you needed words of encouragement, and it's like, wow, it's I'm sure many of you have had those moments where it's like, wow, that was perfect timing. If I I don't know, like if I gone out of the shower at this time and got in my car at this time, if I gotten out like much earlier and headed to work, I probably could have, like, let's say, been in this accident, God forbid. Thank God, like, it took me longer than usual to get out of the house, something like that. So, relating to my first video, I would say that's why it's also important to learn how to ground yourself, learn how to find peace, meditate a few seconds at a time, if you can, if that's the most you can do, throughout the day. That's like more than enough. But I'm also realizing that sometimes we don't always need to follow that path. Sometimes I feel like the universe will push us in the dark water. I can thinking about it is scary. But for my, you insert your fear. But this makes sense to me, but I feel like, let's say you want to gain a certain skill, like universe, I want to truly have good friends, or I really want to have my life partner. I really want to be rich. And we've been waiting for that. In a fantasy kind of way. The universe, we think like, oh, magically they'll just give it to us, and eventually they do. But first you need to find the knowledge, the true power, the skill of what it's like to not have that, and to have the power, to have the strength to stand against people and situations that are anything but that. And I think that's why at times, the universe will push us in the dark water. It's because the light that you're looking for, the answers, that pathway, is somewhere way, way deep in the bottom. Is somewhere way, way deep in a soul, in a part of you that you are avoiding. That's where sorry, I get a little emotional. But just thinking about the ways that my own spiritual journey, or the way that I've gone about this, I've learned, like, if I really wanted to live the life that I've always dreamed of, I'm really gonna have to turn over every fear that I have, really face the dark side, really face the deepest parts of me that I'm afraid to see, that I'm afraid to admit. Really go down in there, really go in every crevice, in every crack, like in this dark cave, in the deepest parts of the sea, metaphorically speaking, not actually. And understand why it's there. And at times, exploring deep truths about myself, why certain things happen to me, why did I have to meet certain people and stuff like that. I had to understand it and see it from different perspectives. And this isn't me saying like, oh, find forgiveness and all that, because even forgiveness, that's really hard. I'm not saying like it's not needed, I feel like it is, but it isn't the complete truth, I would say, when it comes to healing, if that's what you need, if that's what you're looking for. But that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother topic I want to get into, forgiveness and hate. Why? That'll be a later thing. But how you find the answers is you ask yourself questions. You keep asking them until something in you clicks. Something in you, it's like cracks open. It's like, oh, wait a minute. like this actually is probably the answer. You know, and I forgot what I was gonna say. For me, it's based on. For me, I'm a very emotional person. I feel things, so I'm able to kind of feel when things are right or not right, or if I've like, or if there's something that's missing. Like I think I've asked myself all the questions. But something's missing. Like I'll keep going until like everything feels kind of whole. And, for those of you who haven't felt something in a long time, I don't believe, I mean, personally, I don't really believe that some humans are just meant to be numb. I feel like that's based on trauma, or it's just based on not really finding anything that's really emotionally captivated you or moved you in some form of way. And I've met people that have tried really hard to really numb themselves, and it's sad, you know. So I think also, if you're that person that has a hard time letting yourself feel things, that's maybe where you gotta start if you want. But these are the little moments of lights that I mean. And I guess that's also another thing. Sometimes, yes, we'll be following the signs, we'll be following carefully what we do throughout the day so it can be spiritually guided, where everything's kind of timed out or timed perfectly. So you're on these rocks, you're following them, you're not falling in the water. But then you get to a rock and you look ahead of you and there's a big gap. And you see on the other side there's more rocks, but there's this big gap. Like, how are you supposed to get to the other side? It's so far. And especially, you don't want to fall in the water. But maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe there's a stone in there. There's a light within you that got taken out a long time ago, that got forgotten. And especially if you're on a journey where you want to feel the most happiest, the most, you want to reach so many, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. You want to obtain so much knowledge and wisdom and perspectives and just so many things. I feel like you also need to reinvent yourself. And to reinvent yourself, you have to find parts of yourself that maybe you lost long ago, or maybe that got covered up, that were really meant to be there for you all along. And you find that by really digging deep within yourself. And sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's fucking boring, sometimes it feels like it's going nowhere, and it's like it's aggravating, it's frustrating. But it's part of the process, I guess. If that's what you experience. And I think also we might experience that gap where we don't really experience many signs, or like we just don't know what the next step is, because we need to take a leap of faith. We need to we need to find our own creative way to get to the other side so we can keep going. You know, and I think that's by I feel like that can also be by messing with the darkness. I don't mean like witchcraft, like or like black magic is what I'm trying to say, or like demons or something. Like I don't know. I don't know much about those, but I guess I would just say, you know, being hurtful towards others or towards yourself. Like what I mean by messing with the darkness is, I guess more so just tapping into it, because I don't believe darkness is all that bad, you know? If anything, weirdly, sometimes I see darkness as like an entity, you know, that was kind of had to be dealing with people's pains and trauma, you know, and death and everything that's just dark. And you know, learning from my own life, learning the times that I've had to really sit in my own darkness and pain, you know, a lot of times I learned that, like, you know, the darkness has actually helped me more than the light, if that makes sense, you know, more than the good stuff. And you know, it feels like this darkness has no choice. Like it gets not mistreated, but misinterpreted a lot, seen as something bad, when it's just like, if you really look deep enough in the darkness, if you really, you know, ask for guidance, I would say, or just see a different perspective, you'll see that there's so much beauty, there's so many hidden gemstones, there's so many like beautiful hidden things in the darkness that darkness can teach you, so much wisdom. You know? But I want to also talk about that more in a different video, because I feel like that also deserves its own explanation. But yeah. I say that, or going back to the part where it's like, you know, if you're experiencing a moment where it seems like you're not getting any guidance, or it doesn't feel like things are kind of planning out in a way where it's divinely, or it's like perfect in a way, you know, maybe it's because it's time for you to step into the darkness and find something that you need for your journey, you need for yourself, you need so you can understand the next step, the next journey that you're gonna take. So yeah, that's it for part 2. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, or you know, if you wanna add your 2 cents in, feel free. You know, the comments are there. They're just there. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace and good night.